Hello, and thank you for being here. My name is Michelle Shelton. I'm a registered dietitian and certified coach. And in this video series, I'm sharing with you the client success tips that I share with my clients as I begin working with them on their health journey. So I support clients in healing their relationship with their body, healing their relationship with food, healing their relationship with themselves so that they can nourish who they are and become the person who they were meant to be. And in that process, I have just some tips that I think sort of lay that foundation of health to create more success and just kind of make it a little bit easier through the process, right? These aren't rules, they're not requirements, they're just things that make the process a little bit easier, which we can all use, right? When we're seeking change in our lives, anything to make it a little bit easier is a good thing. So that's what we have here. So today's success tip that I want to share with you is around exercise. Now, exercise is pretty universally accepted and agreed upon to be a really important part of caring for our bodies. We know that it helps our mental health. We know that it helps our physical health, right? There are so many benefits to it, and yet it can be really hard to prioritize and make space for in our lives. And so I want to share with you what I recommend to my clients to begin that process and to set themselves up for success. So my recommendation is to focus on consistency over volume or intensity. I would much rather my clients set a pattern of consistent exercise than that they go all in on this really intense big workout or set this big lofty goal that's not sustainable over the long term, because transformation is change that you can sustain over the long term, right? For the rest of your life. That's what you're looking for, right? And so we want to take it and approach it in a way that is transformative and is sustainable. And that way is with consistency. So let me just share my own personal story as an example. When I began, I'm a runner. When I began running years ago, I did not like exercise. I wasn't really highly motivated to exercise. It was really uncomfortable for me in terms of like physically, like I didn't like that feeling of like being breathless and like pain in my body and legs and all of that. And I also was just like kind of uncomfortable feeling like maybe I would be judged, right? Like I wasn't doing it right, or I didn't look right, or I didn't have the right body type, or all the stuff, right? And so it just wasn't really something that I was wanted to do. And yet I knew that it was important for my health. And I needed something that was accessible and relatively cheap. So I decided to run. Bought some running shoes. I went to a park that was just across the street from my house, and it had a loop around it that was about 1.5 miles. And so the first time that I went, I walked the long edge, I ran the short edge, I walked the long edge, and I ran the short edge and walked home. So I ran definitely less than half, maybe around 1/3 of that loop, right, with a lot of walking in between. Didn't matter. I went. That was what my goal was. I went back again and again and again. And slowly I started running more and walking less to where I could run the full loop. And I kept going again and again. And then eventually I could run around 2 laps of this 1.5 mile loop. And then eventually I could run around 3 laps of this 1.5 mile loop. And then eventually, as I kept going again and again and again, over years, right, I could run a 10K, and then I could run a half marathon, and then I could run a full marathon. And so now I became a runner, right? Now I was a runner, somebody who ran races and half marathons and ran pretty consistently. And that happened, right, not because I had the skill or this great inspiration to be a runner, it just happened because I was consistent. So that's really, really important, is that consistency. Just pick something that you can do for 10 minutes every single day. And if 10 minutes is too much, do 8. If 8 minutes is too much, do 5. Whatever it is that you can pick and be consistent with. Over time, with that consistency, as you continue to show up for yourself, you will naturally grow that strength and naturally add to it. But the consistency is way more important. I pretty firmly believe that if I had set an intention to run a marathon at that time, I would have met that goal and then probably stopped running altogether, because my goal wasn't to be a runner or to be consistent, it was to run the marathon, which is a great accomplishment. But my goal for you and for my clients is to be consistent, to be a person who shows up for your health every single day in a way that cares for your body, and movement is one of those ways. So focus on consistency and less about intensity. A couple of tips to think about as you pick, what you want to do for your 10 minutes or whatever the time is that you set. Strength training is always a really important part of our exercise, especially as you age. You want to maintain the health of your muscles. And so some sort of strength training. So if you could only exercise for 5 minutes, just do 5 minutes of squats, body weight squats. Another really powerful exercise is push-ups, starting at countertop height, and then going down to a table, and then down to a bench, and then to a stool, and then to the floor. And I promise you, and no matter how hard it feels, as you do it consistently, you will see that strength grow in yourself. Again, I don't love strength training, but I remember the day that I could do 4 push-ups on the floor, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe how far I've come to do 4 push-ups all at once. And I kept doing it, 4 push-ups, and eventually it was 5, and then it was 6. And I was like, wow, if I could get to 10, that'd be amazing, but I don't know if that's possible, right? But I kept doing it again and again until eventually I got to the point where I am now, where I can do 23 push-ups at once over 6 sets in a workout, right? Which is way more than I ever imagined, only because of consistency. And then the last thing that I would recommend you consider is find something that you enjoy. If you don't really love running, find something you do enjoy. Try biking, try hiking, try walking, try pickleball, right? Whatever it is that you enjoy will help just overcome that barrier, right? When we have that resistance of not really wanting to go. If you enjoy it, that will help a lot, and it's okay to enjoy it. It's not a requirement that it be painful and miserable. So that's my recommendation to help you become more active and set that pattern and that establish that consistency, right, as somebody who exercises. Thank you for being here. I will see you for my next tip in the next video. I'll see you there.